Hello, welcome to another Looney Tunes review video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to follow my journey to review all 1000 classic Looney Tunes shorts and give this video a like as well. So this is a review for I Got Plenty of Mutton, released in 1944. It's the 425th in the series and it's directed by Frank Tashlin. You can find this on the Looney Tunes Golden Collection Volume 4 DVD set. A HD version is out there as well. This short is under copyright, so I can't show you the full thing here on YouTube, otherwise the video will just get blocked. But in case you haven't seen this one, you have a starving wolf in the beginning, and then he realizes he's got a chance to get some sheep as the main sheepdog is out of action and has gone off to war. But when he gets there, he's in for a very nasty surprise. First up you're going to see is a re-edit of the original commentary I did before I take that down. And after that, you'll hear some new thoughts from me. So, without further ado, let's get into it. With me today, we have a bit of a party going. We've got Blue Genocide, Steph Stilly, and some guy who I think likes Tashlin, Austin Kelly. Say hi.
It is so good to hear you say directed by Frank Tashlin. It is the best feeling you don't even know.
Oh.
Yeah, of course, Austin only makes it here for the Tashlin ones.
Oh my god.
Absolutely. But we've got Steph here as well. You like Tashlin too, don't you, Steph?
Oh yeah, he's one of the greats.
I mean, I'm liking the backgrounds here because it really feels like my native homeland.
It's a really pretty cartoon, and a lot of people say, you know, well, I mean, what's the difference between DVD and Blu-ray? I think I just got that comment the other day, actually. But the thing is, when you see something in high definition, you can't go back because this is such a different cartoon when you look at it in high def on HBO Max as opposed to, you know, just a crappy standard def thing on the DVD. It's really a completely different experience, in my opinion.
The whole P gag, I mean, being from Fun and Fancy free.
Yep, Fun and Fancy free. That wouldn't be out for another couple years though, but.
Yeah,
No,
but Tashlin did a lot of work on that one. So,
yeah.
And he did that same P-gag in one of his live-action films with Jerry Lewis, Artists and Models. So, I have no doubt in my mind that the gag in the Disney film was definitely Tashlin's work. I do want to point out very quickly before we get this underway is that opening shot, I believe it was done by this too, Ray Patton, who was a Disney guy. He shows up in one McKimpson cartoon, Daffy Doodles, and then he kind of disappears. Elsewhere, not available online, there was a conversation that I have a transcript of between a few reliable historians, and they were able to come to the theory that Patton did go uncredited, at least on some of the earliest Tashlin cartoons. He does a lot on Porky Pig's Feet, so I think that was his work right there.
This is always a highlight for me. I always thought it was one of the best on the 4th volume. Reminds me a lot of a lot of the jokes remind me of like Billy Wilder type of stuff, like Some Like It Hot, of course, with the ending and everything.
I do want to say, talking about the coyote looking similar to this wolf, Jones definitely admitted later on to having definitely been influenced by Tashlin. Obviously, his first Fox and Crow cartoon of Columbia was a big influence on his Roadrunner series. And, you know, even this bit here later with the ram and the sheep, or rather the wolf disguised as the sheep, is very much so something you would expect from a Pepe Le Pew cartoon if it was Pepe and, you know, Penelope Pussycat and everything. So I would have no doubt in my mind that Jones was definitely looking to this cartoon when he was developing the Pepe series as well as designing the coyote.
Oh, and we got Tashlinism. Another Tashlinism. The legs. Yep.
Those leg shots.
By the way, it's really nice of Steph Stilly to pose for this. Right, it was you, right?
Yeah, it was.
I want to say
that's a total Clampett joke right there.
The blood going to the horns is the greatest direction joke of all time, and no one can debate me on that.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
like this guy here, like with the. It's like what? Typical Tashlin. Typical Tashlin is all about these kind of gags, and nothing wrong with that. So those are my original thoughts, and watching this short again, it's definitely a lot funnier. This is one of those shorts, for some reason, every time I see it, it gets funnier and funnier. I've never hated this one or anything, but when I first watched it, I didn't feel it was as funny as the previous Tashlin shorts. I don't know why, but it is what it is. But watching it again, yeah, this one is really, really good. and got a few new observations about it. Now, first of all, this is the first color short of Frank Tashlin's 1940s run. He had done some color cartoons before in the 30s, some merry melodies, starting from Speaking of the Weather, but this is the first of his color run, and it's going to be all color from here on, because from here on, there's no more black and white Looney Tunes shorts. The title itself is a play on the song I Got Plenty of Nothing that was written by George Gershwin for the show Porgy and Bess, and in case you're wondering, mutton is sheep meat, so the title definitely relates to the short, and I really wish that Frisch Freeling took some notes in relation to that, because his titles are not very good for the most part, but anyway, it's another point entirely. So let's go through a few things that I missed or any new observations. So first of all, you'll see around the beginning the OPA, and that is the Office of Price Administration, and they were there to help control the prices once World War II came about. And then, of course, you've got Hollywood Wolves, and that's basically another term for like a ladies' man of sorts. They dress up all fancy and go after ladies, and that sort of thing. So it was a common term that was used around that time. So the bone gag was already covered in the commentary portion, but I do love, having rewatched this again, all that build-up, and it just shows how rationing had become so strict that you've got people hiding all the valuable things in safes, and their most valuable commodity around this time? Food. Especially stuff that's actually rationed. And I love the animation of how the wolf just dips that bone ever so briefly just to stretch out the flavor, so to speak. I mean, I don't know how much flavor's in that bone anymore, but anyway, it's still pretty funny. And then there's so much rule by this wolf here, and the build-up is just fantastic. In fact, this whole beginning part actually takes a long time, but Tashlin definitely makes it work. And all that build-up just for mice, while we hear three blind mice playing, of course, and they just drink it all. And when the wolf chases away the mice, that's a good one to freeze frame if you definitely want to take a closer look at that. It's really good. And you knew that the gag was coming where the wolf sees that there's like one last drop, and we all know Mouse is going to come back, but hey, it's still funny. I quite like it. So what's interesting in this one is that Tashlin's now repeating the same gag. So the same idea where the wolf obviously has these rationed goods and he's trying to conserve a lot of it. So he's back again, and instead of the bone, it's now a pea, and I'm assuming that's now the main course, so the soup would have been the entree, right? But it's all done in such a dramatic way, you don't really care about this slow burn getting started. In fact, the whole first third, close to a half, is just all on this stuff. But it's interesting to compare this short with something like Porky Pig's Feet or Scrap Happy Daffy, where it's a lot more fast paced and we just hit the ground running almost immediately in those shorts. But here we got this massive slow burn before anything crazy happens once we get to the sheep paddock. And again, the pea bit was used by Disney in Fun and Fancy Free, and Tashlin worked on that film's very, very long production cycle. But even knowing this, I love the execution here of the wolf eating the pea, with the chewing and how it just goes down the wolf's body with all those sound effects. It's fantastic. So we see the newspaper article, and it says Sheepdog leaves his flock to join the WAGs. And WAGs is Wireless Air Gunners, and they were specialists in the Royal Canadian Air Force. So I'm assuming this takes place in Canada. I don't know, but anyway. And the uniform for the Royal Canadian Air Force showed the letters WAG and RCAF. And many Americans joined the Canadian military to fight the World War before the US actually entered in it. So there's another World War II reference for you, but you don't need to really know that to enjoy the short, thankfully. And I love that double take by the wolf as he now sees that the sheep are his for his taking, and he has to go back to throw out the bone. So we've gone from this rather big slow burn scene, and then it just gets faster and faster and faster as the wolf is like, yes, I'm going to get those sheep, I'm going to get those sheep, I'm going to get those sheep. And we get all these really quick cuts that Tashlin's known for, especially since he started directing at Warner's. Ever since he was doing even his 30 shorts, he'd do all these really quick cuts, and sure enough, he's doing the same thing right here. And my favorite bit here is skiing through the tree bit, which you've seen before, but it's still pretty funny. And these cuts, they barely last a second or two as well, and they really would have added to the budget, which is, I think, is quite interesting. And we get this really weird, smeary sort of pose where the wolf just acts like a pointer dog for some weird reason, but anyway. So he sees all the sheep, seemingly defenseless, there is no dog, and you got more and more build-up, and you know something's going to happen. You know there's going to be this massive punchline, it's all building up to it, but what is it? And I love how we just don't know. Is it another dog? And you'd think it'd be another dog or something, but no, it's a ram. And a ram is guarding the sheep now, and I love the quick cut of the sheep moving away to reveal this beautiful pose of the wolf and ram and how long this pose remains for the maximum effect. I would imagine that Chuck Jones, aside from a few other things, would have seen stuff like this and really paid attention, because he did this sort of stuff later on in the decade. And they look at the newspaper that the wolf still happens to have, and this ram is the killer diller. And it pays to read the article. Okay, you got to read everything before you make your judgments, and I wish more people will do that for other things these days, and I'll say no more about that front. And the article, in some weird Tex Averian fashion, happens to know that this killer diller is right in front of the wolf, but anyway, it's still pretty funny. And I love that gulp animation in that shot as well. And then we hear that trombone sound that you hear in some of these shorts, and Clambert's been using this a lot recently, but it originates all the way back from a few early Merry Melodies and Buddy shorts, but seems to have a bit of a revival of late. So the wolf tries to get away, but no dice. In fact, this short must have inspired Chuck Jones for his Sam Sheepdog and Ralph Wolf shorts. The style is very similar here, and I would imagine that Jones would have respected Frank Tashlin's work, because a lot of Jones's later ideas seem to have come from some of these Tashlin shorts as well. And we get this nice build-up with the ram showing off what he can do to get rid of this wolf, and the wolf keeps going up, 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 up on this imaginary tree, and takes a while with the birds, etc. Love all that build-up, just for him to just go, he just shrugs and falls. And we get the added topper of the tree stump being knocked off as we hear she was an acrobat's daughter, because what else is going to play, right? What's interesting is that you would probably have seen maybe a few more gags in between here in another short, had it maybe started a little bit later, or if there wasn't so much of a slow burn start. No, the wolf straight away goes to the costume idea to try and mingle among the sheep, and of course be the most sexual looking sheep out there. I mean, it is a Tashlin short, so I guess it's kind of appropriate, but anyway. And the wolf even has to show us that he's in the costume. It's like, we get it. We understand what you're doing here. And that whole scene where he's putting the makeup on, and Tashlin really showed attention and care in the little details. Because let's face it, we really don't need to see this. The rouge, the eyeliner, and best of all, the lipstick. I wonder who would have animated that. And we briefly hear in an 18th century drawing room when lipstick's being applied, and the sheep costume looks like someone from France during that time with the white wig and lipstick on the upper lip, and it's a nice little detail. It only goes for a split second, so I'm wondering if he saw a drawing and it's like, oh, it looks like someone from 18th century France or something, so I don't know. But I just thought it was interesting. And this would have been animated by a guy. I mean, did he use a partner for reference, or get one of the secretaries or something to do a bit of reference or something? I don't know, but anyway, it's a very well done bit of animation there, I have to say. And I like in this next attempt as well, he's gone all out, and he's even prepared with all the tools like the TNT, etc. And when we see the wolf fully dressed as the sheep and doing that little walk, that is reference to the actress Dorothy Lamour, as the sheep is wearing a sarong, and that look became associated with her from a few movies, so that's where all that comes from. And another reference, Charles Boyer, and, that whole, my darling, and that sort of stuff that comes from him. And this surely would have inspired also Chuck Jones when it comes to Pepe Le Pew. And I love the delivery here of the ram just going back during the speech as well. It's fantastic. And we even get a brief moment losing the head and the costume's all gone. But after a false start, the wolf puts the costume back together, and the animation of that hop is fantastic. And again, Chuck must have been taking notes in relation to that for Pepe Le Pew's hop later on. And when we see the knife, you think the wolf's going to stab this ram, but no, it's for the rope. And you have to wonder how on earth that wolf got that safe up there in the first place. But anyway, somehow it did anyway. So this ends up becoming more and more like a Pepe Le Pew short, where you've got the pursuer and you've got the person trying to get away from being pursued, and we end up at a massive gun at one point, and it's no doubt for the war effort around this time, from the defense effort. And the timing is absolutely amazing. The wolf picks up the heavy bullet, and before he even gets the bullet, the ram just pulls the wolf into the barrel. Just so weird. It's so good. And as the chase goes on, the sheep looks less and less quote-unquote attractive. And you know what I mean, guys, alright? If you see the comparison between the costume at first to now, you know what I mean, okay? And now it's night, and how long has this chase been going on for? And the wolf finally reveals himself. You would have thought he would have revealed himself earlier, but no. The animation of him coming out of the costume is fantastic, and the punchline is that the ram is also a wolf after ladies, but since this wolf is a bloke, does it make the ram bisexual? I don't know. Pretty progressive. Who knows? It's just one of those little gags there. And it's hard to see how this would have passed the Hays Code, so I'm glad it did, though, because it is actually a great punchline. And if you've seen the movie Some Like It Hot, there's a similar punchline at the end where it's, I'm a man. Well, nobody's perfect, so it's a similar kind of vibe. But wow, this short, as I mentioned earlier on, is one of those shorts where I watch first few times and think it's okay, nothing wrong with it, but the more I watch it, the more I absolutely love it. And this one gets 9 out of 10 for me. It's not going to be a go-to Tashlin short, but I tell you what, it's amazing. And if you need to see it again, it's on Looney Tunes Golden Collection Volume 4, and there is the HD version lurking around. But that'll do it for this review. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and until next time, take care.